Hey guys, welcome to another exciting episode of Cultural Sports. And yes, I have the original guest who started me from the beginning, but due to other issues in Culture Universe, I decided to take away the channel for sports and make its own channel. I decided to go my own route. I was kind of bored of it, doing it by myself. It wasn't as fun, so I came back to my first love. And like they always say, you can never forget your first. And I brought him back with me. God's Dirty Hands is back in the building. We're doing it together again. This time we'll be doing Colts and Eagles content, how we did before in the Culture Universe, but this time we're doing it together in the Culture Sports. And if you guys, we have a new setup, new background. I'm in the Colts side. God's Dirty Hands is on the Eagles side. So this right here, it's gonna be a great combination back, duo back together again. So I'm excited to have God's Dirty Hands back on.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
So in this episode, we'll be grading the Colts and Eagles season and getting more in depth about what happened and grading each position of the department of the Colts and Eagles position. So we're gonna start off the Colts with a heartbreaking end, losing to the division of rival Texans to get into the playoffs. I'm going to be talking about Shane Steichen coaching this year. In his first year, this man has dealt with so many adversities, with JT's contract dispute, the tight end being an exemplar, due to, we're not going to talk about that. Grover Stewart gets suspended for 6 games. Anthony Richardson out for the season. Isaiah Rodgers suspended for the season due to, gambling issues. And he was able to finish season 9-8, 5+ more wins than the season before, which is a kudos to him. And I love Shane Steichen's scheme because, our offense, with the backup quarterback, Gardner Minshew, we was in 11th in the NFL, went 22.3 points per game. Another thing I like about Shane Steichen as well, too, he holds player accountable. If you're not living up to expectation, he will bench you. He will suspend you. The previous regime, Frank Wright, granted, he did have some great years with us. I'll not take that away from him. But I feel like he didn't hold his players accountable. And Shane Steichen is demanding excellence. He even, as an organization, not just him, released Darius Leonard, who was on his way to a Hall of Fame career before his back surgeries. They saw him in the field. It was like, you're not the same anymore. And we're going to give you the opportunity to go to another team. That right there, I'm loving it because, he's holding his players accountable. If you're not living to our expectations, we're okay with suspending you and letting you go. And Shane Steichen, with dealing so many adversity this year, going 9-8, losing a starting quarterback, dealing with so much, I got to give him a B. What's your take on that?
I'll give him an A, and here's why. You have a backup quarterback in Gardner Minshew. He threw for 3,305 yards with no tight ends. So I'm going to throw that out there. And you didn't have JT for 7 games. You lost your cornerback, Isaiah Rodgers, like you said. You had to get rid of Darius Leonard. But somehow he coached this team up where Zaire Franklin has 179 tackles. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, so we could sit here and say, oh, he was an offensive, great-minded coach because that's what he did in Philly, but he made your defense look good too when you had a lot of players that were not even available to play. It just doesn't make sense how this team played so well with losing your starting quarterback 4 games in. 9-8. I mean, we were saying they'll be 9-8 with the starting quarterback. So if you give them a B, it's kind of like we got to look at it from the perspective that he had backups in. Zach Moss was a backup. I have to give him an A just off of what he did with what he had. He made a tremendous adjustments throughout the year to get this team where they were.
Yeah, because everybody was kind of the Colts out. This is a 3-4 to win team automatically. I'm like, okay, like. I'm obviously gonna be a little biased. I'm a Colts fan, but I'm gonna think highly of them. 8-7 type team, but 9-8. The last game gets to the season. My only thing I drop it from an A to a B is that questionable call against the Texans, 4th and 2, and you throw out the 3rd string running back. Granted, I know he was open. I know everything worked to his team, but I'd rather have your best player out there, Jonathan Taylor, or Zach Moss. Mind you, Tyler Goodson only had 6 catches in his entire career. That right there is, that's a big play. You want the ball in your best player hands, or even drop a play to have Michael Pittman Jr. wide open as well too. But that right there is, it goes from an A to a B just because that pay call out there. Yes, Gardner Minshew could have threw a better ball at that point, but still, it's like, I'd rather have the best player out there.
All right, so my take on that is if you have those guys out there, they're covering that more. He was so wide open because, like you said, he had 6 catches all year, so it's like, we're not going to pay him mine. He grabbed the ball. He should have had it. It was a bad pass, but I kind of liked it. Like if you have whatever when you have your best players on the field, they're gonna guard your best players. It was a decoy and it should have worked. And my favorite part about it is when he told him, "That's on you. We had it. Accountability." He put it right on him.
Yeah.
Should have had it. We had it. That's on you.
All right, now we're gonna move up to the quarterback room. Number 4 pick, Anthony Richardson. Unfortunately, only played in 4 games. He completed over 50 passes, had 3 touchdowns, 1 interceptions, and 4 rushing touchdowns, and he had 577 yards throwing the ball, and he was very explosive when he was out there. We ranked 10th in most explosive plays for the first 4 games of the season. He was very explosive. The only thing about Anthony Richardson, he needs to stay healthy. As of right now, like he only completed 2 games out of 4. You have to stay on the field. The most cliche thing is to be the best quarterback out there is to be available. Availability is the best ability in the NFL. And his best game was against the Rams. Down 23-0 against, one of the best defense, in the NFL with Aaron Donald he was like right in front of the face, still threw the ball down the field to Alec Pierce. Like that right there was truly amazing. That right there just showcasing coming down 23-0. He never got the ball again in overtime. Anthony Richardson showcased that, no matter what's, adversity he's dealing with, he will come back. He doesn't falter. And he showcased, a lot of promise. Not guaranteed, a lot of promise for the upcoming future of Anthony Richardson. Unfortunately, when it comes to him, I'm about to give him a C just because he didn't finish the game. He only played in 4 games and was knocked out of 3 games. What's your thoughts on AR before I go to Gardner Mitchell?
I think a C is fair for what you said. He played in 4 games. He only finished 2. It's kind of tough because in the 2 games he finished, he had 200 yards plus in both of those games. But contrary to that, both of those games were also losses. So that takes a hit against him. But you did see when he was on the field how dynamic he was and how explosive that team looked with him. And mind you, JT wasn't in those games. So we didn't really get to see how dominant he could be, but we do have to hold everything in accountability. But, I mean, a C is, I guess, being fair. It could have been a lot higher if in those other 2 games he actually finished. But 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, I'll take that. For a rookie, I'll take that all day.
Listen to this. JT and AR only played 2 snaps together. That is... But, I'm very confident of upcoming 2024 season. But we're going to move on to Gardner Mitchell. He stepped up when he had to step up. When AR went down 2 games, Gardner Mitchell was a phenomenal reliever. He reminded me of Mariano, the reliever for the Yankees, came in clutch, closed the game out. He was doing his thing. And Gardner Mitchell, he was doing his thing. When he came, the full-time quarterback, I'm going to give him this. Without him, we're not getting to 9-8. I'm going to say this right now. He played a big factor going for us, almost getting to the playoffs. But his pocket presence still wasn't the best. He holds the ball for too long, and he's out there just jittering, going back and forth. I'm like, oh, my God. Granted, he does have that Gardner Mitchell. It's either going to be a bad play or it's going to be a fantastic play. And he was very careless with the ball at times, which is, is very frustrating. But I'm going to say this about him. The team loved playing for Gardner Mitchell. And it just showcased after, wins or losses, you see that the locker room rallying behind him, which just showcased that, okay, these players love playing for Gardner Mitchell. And, he did what he had to do. I'm going to give him that. I would love for Gardner Mitchell to come back. Because, with the help with AR, which we'll talk about another episode later on, I feel like Gardner Mitchell, definitely held it down. And he's easily the best backup quarterback in the NFL. Because I don't think a lot of quarterbacks were able to do what he did, with, him already having that experience under Shane Steichen. But Gardner Mitchell, he had over 3,300 yards, 15 touchdowns, which is okay. 9 interceptions, that's not really the best. But 5 fumble losses, But still, the key thing is that locker room. A great locker room means you can, players, are looking forward, because if you have a bad locker room, your season is going to be detrimental, which, might have happened to, I don't want to say to the Eagles season. You want that good cohesive, locker room, which I believe he brought into that, which the players rallied behind. I'm going to give him a solid B for this year.
I give him a B minus because I feel like if he wasn't so careless at times, yous are in the playoffs. 9-8, yous could have easily been 11-6. He reminds me a lot of Carson Wentz. Of sometimes I'm going to try to play hero ball. Sometimes you don't need to play hero ball. Just make the correct plays. But then again, you have to give him credit. He 62.2 completion percentage. He averaged 6.7 yards per pass. It's damn near a first down every pass. The only thing that he took a hit was, I don't like the 15-9 ratio.
Yeah.
It's a little tough ratio right there. But again, all things considered, as a backup, I always tell you, as a backup, he can win you games. It's when he's in that full-time role where it gets a little, you're like, hero ball. It's like he knows he's a backup quarterback and he's trying to win a starting role. That's how I always think of it. But when he just plays and makes the right reads, he's a great quarterback. He's a great backup quarterback. Like you said, he threw for 3,300 yards. He didn't play in 2 games. It could have been a lot better. It could have been. You got to give him at least a B- just because it's the touchdown to interception ratio for me. I don't like it, and that's not counting the fumbles. But you said 5 lost fumbles, so he had 15 touchdowns, 14 turnovers. I don't like it. I don't like it. Not from my quarterback.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the running backs. This is a wild offseason for JT. Starting from the trade rumors saying he'll never play for the Colts again, until the Colts front office saw how dangerous AR and JT could possibly be, and that was the goal. To me personally, the key factor in that entire situation. And unfortunately, like I said before, they only played in 2 snaps together. We have to wait until 2024 to see how dangerous this combo can really be. Well, JT signed a new deal, 3 years, $42 million, with $26.5 million guaranteed. And he missed some games this year due to IR, the thumb. But he had a decent season. But he showcased that 2021 JT, the breakout speed. He had over 741 yards, 7 touchdowns, and averaging 4.4 yards a carry. With that being said, I'm going to have to give him a solid B-. It could have been an A, without, thumb injury, because he could have easily hit 1,000 if he didn't miss those games due to, the IR and, the thumb injury as well, too. But with that being said, the deal is done. This offseason is going to be strictly, getting back to, him getting that combination with him and AR in backfield. So I think this is going to be great next year. But like I said before, this year was, a lot of up and downs for JT. And moving forward, everything's done. We're going to get the JT of old. I'm going to give him a B- for this year.
I'm going to grade the whole year just rushing offense in general, because him and Zach Moss basically identical stats. But your team had 2,059 rushing yards. You averaged 121 yards on the ground. That's really good in the NFL. So with that being said, JT averaged 74 yards a game, Moss 56. Richardson averaged 34. So I want to just say, it looks like this rushing offense can be scarier. Especially Shane, if you watch when he was with the Eagles and it was that RPO or that play action, this team is going to be extremely dangerous. I'm going to give this running game at least a B, just based off of you averaged 121 yards on the ground. It's pretty good. And you had 19 touchdowns total. You had 12 between JT and Moss. And mind you, they both missed games, and you didn't have your biggest offensive weapon, who's AR. You gotta give him a B. It's just the numbers on the board. You average 4 yards per carry on the ground. That means if you run it 3 times in a row, there's 90% chance you're gonna get a first down. I like those odds. I mean, again, this is a team that we were without JT. If you said JT missed 7 games, you're gonna be like, oh, this team doesn't win 5 games. They won 9. So just based off that and Zach Moss stepping up, you now have a 1-2 punch. You have a 1-2 punch, and that's not counting your quarterback, who's a mobile quarterback. I give the running game a B.
Yes, of course, like you said before, Zach Moss held it down while JT was going through the contract situation. And at one point, he was the 4th leading rusher in the entire NFL. And this duo, like I said, this triple threat, oh my God, AR, JT, and Zach Moss next year in that backfield is going to be special. Hopefully we can re-sign him, because even Moss said that he would love to come back. And that right there, you want that, because that combination right there, oh my God. Next year, when we do this rating system, can easily be an A+. All right, moving on to the wide receiver group. Contract year for Pittman. He balled out, and he eclipsed 100 catches. 4th player to ever do that in Colts history. Marvin Harrison Jr., Reggie Wayne, Dallas Clark, and Michael Pittman Jr. Mind you, this man has played with 6 different quarterbacks since he's been in the NFL. 109 receptions, 1,100 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he showcased he's the number 1 receiver. And he showcased when he went out for that concussion, the offense did not look the same without him in the field. And he showcased, okay, with me in the field, we're more of a dynamic threat. With me, JT, Moz, and AR out there, oh my God. Chris Ballard, listen to me. It's rare to get number 1 receivers in the NFL, especially who can move the chains down the field. He's it. Pay that man $20 million plus. That it is what it is. Pay that man. And Josh Downs broke the Colts rookie record for 68 catches, 771 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he showcased that. Oh yeah, I am the new T.Y. Hilton, and I love the way he plays. Like I said before, another weapon for AR next year. This man right here, Alec Pierce, ran the most goal routes in the NFL with over 120 plus. Unfortunately, Gardner Minshew did not look him down the field. You hear what I said? 120 plus goal routes, Lamont. So basically just throw it up there to him. And AR has a cannon, so everybody know next year he's going to be throwing it up to him. So with that being said, he only had 32 receptions, 514 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like I said before, Gardner Minshew wasn't looking down the field towards him. He was looking up, down with, Pittman, Downs, and the tight ends. So for Pittman, I'm giving the man an A+. He showcased that, okay, I am the number 1 receiver. I just need that dynamic quarterback to throw me the ball down the field. Josh Downs, I'm going to give him a B+. Breaking the Colts rookie record for receptions. Come on. Got to give it to him. Alec Pierce, unfortunately, I'm going to give him a C+, just because of running so many goddamn goal routes. Because, holy shit. But I think next year he'll be a bigger threat with, AR throwing the ball down the field. What's your take on the first 3 receivers I mentioned?
I'm gonna start with Josh Downs. And I told you during the draft process, I was like, this is a guy that I liked. And he gave you a snippet of what, again, same thing with Alec Pierce, have a backup quarterback. So he's going to go to someone who's more of a veteran. So he went to Michael Pittman a lot more. Granted, Downs had 98 targets, caught 68 of them, 771 yards, 2 touchdowns. I only feel like that number's going to go up, especially if you keep Alec Pierce running go routes like that. It's going to leave the middle open because slants, drags, whatever you could do, he could take it to the house, and you can have Pittman on the other side. This team is going to look very dangerous, but I just want to give Josh Downs an A because I don't think people thought he was going to have as many yards as he had, especially with AR going down. Pierce, I just feel like I don't know what to make of him yet. Yeah, obviously he's your big play guy if you're going to just have him run down the field. He's got mad cardio for no reason, basically. With Minshew there, he's just running. But Pittman Jr. he's shown you he's your number 1. And this is a player that the guys could learn from because he's taking big hits. Every time I see it, he's taking unnecessary huge hits, and he's still balling. So just imagine what he can do with a quarterback that's going to put him in better positions. Or with AR, you're going to get a lot of man coverage, or you're going to get a lot of zones where he's not going to be taking these crazy hits. I give Pittman an A, hands down. I give Josh Downs an A. It's Pierce. I expected more, so I got to give him like a C-. I'm just expecting more. And I'm not saying it's his fault, but I'm just expecting more. I just thought this year would be his year with getting you got your slot guy in Josh Downs. You got your number 1. I was expecting him to have more than 65 targets and only 32 catches. You're running him on that many go routes. What are we doing to this man? I feel like he was kind of capped by Gardner Minshew's arm strength this year. I think next year we'll see way more who he is.
That Tennessee game, when Mitchell threw the ball to Alec Pierce down the field, he was effective, and he caught the game win. Oh no, he didn't caught the game winner, but he set us up for to the game winning touchdown with Michael Pittman. Towards the end of the game, like give the man the ball. Like he's a deep threat for a reason. Give it to him.
Hey, I'm looking at the stats. Downs had double the catches, right? Only 6 more first downs. Pittman had 3 times as many, almost 4 times as many catches, and only doubled him in first downs. Like, this is your first down guy. This should be your security blanket, because clearly only 8 catches were not first downs. Like, when I see that stat, it's like, yo, you know it's not him. It's just let's get him the ball at this point.
Wide receiver did the thing, but the tight ends, the most inconsistent group of our team. Janali Woods, I'm not talking about baby Thanos. He was out the entire year with a hamstring injury, never came down the field. Ogletree, I'm not going to talk about it, the exempt list. Molly Cox, he's too inconsistent with catching the ball. We're going to have to move on from him in the offseason. Kyle Granson, he showed flashes, but too many drops as well, too. I'm giving this group a D.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You have to give him a D. Just, what is Mo Ali Cox doing?
My man,
please enlighten me.
6'8", man. Play basketball, man.
He's LeBron James, but he is doing nothing. Why is he in the game so much? I honestly don't know. Okay, you could say Kyle Granson dropped some passes. Touche. But at least he's making an effort. Every time I turn on the game and I see Mo Ali Cox, I'm just like, why? Why? I'm dead serious. I just think to myself, why? You have Will Morey and Kyle Granson who caught more passes than him, and he's playing way more than him. And I know this for a fact. And I don't watch all Colts games. It's kind of ridiculous. He only had 161 yards. That's your starting tight end. If you just look at starting tight ends in the NFL, he has to be the worst one by a landslide. And it hindered your team because in the NFL, your tight end is your security blanket 90% of the time. Look at Tom Brady had Gronk. Look at Donovan had Chad Lewis. And then you had Zach Ertz. You have Dallas Goedert. You have Travis Kelce. You have tight ends are supposed to be your go-to. And then you don't have one. That is, at the end of the day, besides signing Michael Pittman Jr., you have to get a tight end that can be dominant at this point. It's really hindering your guys' offense. D is more than fair because you could easily be like, the tight end sucks so bad, give him an F. One of them can't catch the ball. Another one, it was a cluster. And I see them trying to rotate them to see who's the best one. They just don't. Granson's dropping the passes. Cox is just out there. He's just out there. Yeah, for nothing. He's just out there.
All right, next up, comeback season, the offensive line. The starting group only gave up 18 sacks. The starting line group. Granted, we gave up 41 sacks, but 18 sacks from the starting lineup. Unfortunately, Brandon Smith was in and out the lineup the entire year due to a lingering knee injury. And he tried to give it his all against the Texans game, but the team looked different once he got out the field. And with him on there, we're a great, great running team. Nelson and Kelly came back to their dominant selves. Tony Spriano Jr., he did a fantastic job with these players. We came back with the same offensive line. Remember last year, we were fucking trash. This year, he came back. It was just coaching. That was it. We came back with the same exact players, and we were back to being okay. Not great. I think we were back to being okay. Bernard Ryman, he showcased that he can hold down the left tackle side of the field. Last year, he was a rookie, so there's a lot of up and downs this year. Minor ups and downs, but he showcased that, okay, this is my side. Me and Nelson, we got this. And he showcased that he's a starting left tackle in his NFL. And Will Fries also showcased that he's a decent right guard as well, too. Rookie Blake Freeman, he was all over the offensive line, helping out, the center, Brandon Smith. So I'm going to give him, for holding down as well, too. I'm going to give these guys a B+, coming back to, being, the once good offensive line. Not great, good offensive line. And hopefully next year will be great to being, back to 2021. But, offensive line, it was simple. Coaching. That was it. Because Chris Brown said, nah, I'm paying y'all motherfuckers X amount of money. We're running it back and fix this shit. Which the coaching did. Like I said before, he did great. Offensive line came back to being a good offensive line.
I was going to give him a B+, but I don't want people to think I'm just giving them the same grades as you. So I'm going to give him an A, and I'm going to tell you why. Just because of the improvement from last year to this year, it's basically the same offensive line. Same offensive line. So to see you're averaging 230 in the air almost and then 120 on the ground, that's 400 yards a game. You can't do that without this offensive line, which improved tremendously because last year I think you had 41 sacks by halfway point of the year. In all year, I love that stat. I simply love it. Again, and you're getting to see how good this team can be with just a little bit of good coaching. This is a solid roster, and this offensive line is going to be scary. Like you said, Smith was in and out of the lineup, so it's kind of like if you're paying him a lot, you can move on from him at this point because everybody else played so good. If they can continue this momentum, it's only going to be better with a better quarterback. I mean, I got to give them an A just because I remember last year how bad they played. To see the same guys turn on the switch, this was a very good offensive line. 41 sacks, that's not nothing in the NFL. Some teams alone are getting 60 sacks. So for you only to allow 41, I got to give them credit. I give them an A.
All right, then last up, the defense. Oh man. A lot of up and downs. We broke the Colts record of 46 plus sacks in the season, but we were last in blitzing. Not good at all. Gus Bradley, break the mold, man. Blitz. It doesn't matter, man. Like, granted, you have to blitz because that backfield is freaking young. Granted, Chris Ballard even said in his press conference, like, hey, that's on me because I gave Gus Bradley the young backfield. I didn't bring in a veteran. That's on me. And don't blame it on Gus Bradley, which is like, I can see because you didn't have no veteran leadership in the backfield. And you released your veteran linebacker who's been there for 4 years. So, Gus Bradley, I'm giving you this year, but holding this, he's under the hot seat because if the defense is giving up massive points in the middle of the season and the coach are losing because of the defense, I expect the coaching change to happen. So as of right now, yeah, he's back, but he's on the hot seat. I believe that as well too. The linebackers, Franklin went back-to-back years breaking the Colts single tackling season. Oh my God, he is showcasing that. He's solidifying, that he is, one of the best linebackers in the game. I hate talking about this. Due to injuries, EJ Speed stepped up. It's one of the coldest things about the NFL. The next man up, if he outdoes you and he's a cheaper contract, they're going to roll with the young guy. And EJ Speed, he has some bullheaded plays, but he showcased that him and Franklin are a great dynamic duo, which led to Shaq's release. The cornerbacks, Juju, he was good, but he has to stay on the field. Jalen Jones had a great rookie season, but Baker was horrendous. He was a Bayesian last year for the corner. He was trash. He's not a starter cornerback in his NFL. Safeties, Blackman held it down with 4 interceptions, but that defense changed once he got out for the season with that injury. Nick Cross showcased some flashes, but he did have some blow coverages as well too. Rodney Thomas, he had a great rookie season, but he took a step back, and the safety, we need some veteran leadership back there. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the defense. I'm gonna give him a solid C+. Could have been a B, but that's just that backfield was just so freaking young. And I called it every game this year. Every team's best receiver cooked us. Mike Evans, Devontae Adams. Yes, they're great, but still, like, god damn, they fucking cooked us. Nico Collins destroyed us on the last game of the season. Your number ones were cooking us automatically. And for that, I'm gonna give him a C+. But next year, like I said before, Bradley is on the hot seat.
I agree. Bradley's definitely on the hot seat, but I give this defense a B. When you got your 2 linebackers had 281 tackles combined. That's a wild stat, right? And then let's talk about the interceptions. You had 15 interceptions. What you said, a super young secondary. So when you say they got 15 turnovers, I'm giving them a lot of credit for that. And then you had 17 forced fumbles. So that's 32 turnovers compared to you guys only having, what do you have? Had 10 interceptions, 24. Yous were almost positive. You were -2 in the turnovers with a young team like this in the back end. Granted, they got burnt, but I feel like in the NFL, the best way to get young cornerbacks acclimated is let them play. They will learn from this, and they did pretty decent in my opinion. For you had literally rookies starting.
We did.
Besides Kenny Moore, Jones and Brent, they're rookies. I have to give them credit because most rookies are not even gonna be able to help you or contribute as much as they did. I gotta give them a B, man. The defense, like you said, it had its moments where you're like, man, but I think it's a coaching thing. Sometimes a coach has to know how to blitz and make adjustments. And Bradley, he might be going after this year. Even I could see even if you guys do good, but the defense is so up and down, end of the year he'll be gone. Just because it's like if he doesn't change something dramatically and you just don't make it to the playoff and win a game, he's on the chopping block. It'll be him before anybody
Yeah.
else.
So overall, definitely a great season. It's Colts football back, dramatic fashion, stressing out a lot. That means Colts football is back. And I expect, we'll do an episode of in a few weeks or a few months where our expectations for next month for the Colts and Eagles. But I expect great things for 2024. Overall, great season from top to bottom. And we have $72 million in cap space. So many free agency. But we'll talk about that in a later episode as well, too. But enough about the Colts. We're moving on to the Eagles. Take away.
Trash. All right, let's talk about this hot garbage. All right, where are we gonna start? We're gonna start with the quarterback. All right, let's talk about Jalen Hurts. People were saying he regressed. I wouldn't say it was regression. I would say it was terrible offensive play calling. Let's just say we miss Shane. Definitely. Jalen was 65.4 completion percentage, 3,858 yards. He averaged 7.2 per completion, 226 yards a game. He was sacked 36 times. Here's the number I don't like: 23 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. You can't, and as we just talked about it with Gardner Minshew, that can't happen. A lot of the times, I've seen maybe 3, 4, maybe even 5 tip passes, interceptions, or offhands interceptions. But as a starting quarterback, I don't need Jalen can't be doing this 15 interception thing. That really hurt him. I don't want to say Jalen played bad. I want to say the play calling was bad. I want to give him a B. The interceptions were down. It could have easily been a A. But when I see 15 interceptions from my starting quarterback, I kind of want to punch Jalen in the head because it's Jalen. Come on, you know better. Last year you didn't have 15. I think you had like 6. So what happened? Granted, like I said, some tip passes intercepted. Some things you can't stop, or let's try to force a Hail Mary interception. I understand. B is the best I could give you, and I probably shouldn't even give you a B. I don't care. You almost had 4,000 yards. If you watch the games, this offense did not look the same. I don't know if you want to blame Jalen. I don't know if you want to blame the offensive coordinator. But me, I'll be a fair man and give him a B and say his stats were pretty good until you see the interception.
So from outside looking in, I believe he was hurt. I believe because I'm not gonna lie to you, when he ran the ball, he looked so freaking slow. I think he had a lingering knee injury, but unfortunately, he wanted to muscle out there, be there for his guys. So that being said, I think he might have forced a lot of plays as well too. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, he looked really slow. Another thing that's gonna hinder Jalen Hurts' growth, I believe this is gonna be his 3rd offensive coordinator in his career. You want continuity, but unfortunately, since the Eagles been doing so good for the past couple of years, coordinators are going to get hired. I believe Nick Sirianni is going to have to build a farm to grow his guys because I believe, was it Brian Johnson that was your offensive coordinator this year? Was not it. A lot of hard work play calling. If I'm Nick Sirianni, I'm bringing back Frank Wright. You got to bring back Frank Wright because you want somebody who's been in the NFL. And, granted, he's not a great head coach, but he's a great offensive mind, and I feel like he can, help Jalen Hurts grow because right now, this offensive coordinator is going to be key for his development for this year up and coming up. That is guaranteed, and his health as well too, because that knee was serious. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a serious, possibly a tear in the ACL, a slight one, because he looked really slow out there when he's running the ball. I'm like, yo, that's not Jalen. That 15 interceptions, yeah, that was really bad as well too. 3,800 yards. When, like I said before, he was hurt, and it showcased that he was hurt and he was dealing with a lot. And hopefully this year he could get his body right because, Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback. He is a great quarterback. And he showcased last year that, he was one of the best in the NFL. And this year as well, too. The reason why he's getting criticized so much is because of the collapse. Let's be honest. If you guys finish with a 13 record, nobody cares about the interceptions. Because you guys had a meltdown towards the end, it's all about Jalen as of right now. I'm going to be honest with you. That meltdown is what really fucked you guys up. 10-1 and finished the season with 1-5. Can't.
You said Pierce did 120 go routes. You know how many screens we threw this year?
5,000.
Over 130. Over 130.
I hate the
Kev,
screen passes, man.
why?
I
don't
hate
get
screen
it.
passes with a passion. But go on.
All right, so that shit just pissed me off. So
Sorry.
many screen passes. Now let's talk about DeAndre Swift. He comes over to Philly. He's a Philly dude. They didn't utilize him correctly. I wanna say that right now. A lot of these, yeah, he had 229 carries, but they were carries that you're subbing people in. You're taking away his momentum. You're not giving him the ball when he's hot. You were taking it away from him a lot. And again, play calling. Another thing, they knew when we were running. Every time we lined up under quarterback, under center, it was a run. I think we only threw 3 passes from under center or some crazy stat. So it was kind of like defense already knew. And this man still had 1,049 yards, 5 touchdowns. He averaged 65 yards a game, and he had 2 fumbles. That's not really too bad when you have 229 carries. I could take that. I don't want any fumbles, but then let's talk about Jalen Hurts, too. He had 157 carries, and he was hurt. I wasn't going to bring it up, but Kevin, you brought it up, so let's talk about it. He had a bad back, and something is wrong with his knee. There's no reason why. You can tell when he forces it because he turns on the boost, and then the next time he runs, you're like, why is he out there? Why are you risking someone you just paid all this money? And for anybody who doesn't know, we paid Carson Wentz a lot of money, and then what happened? So why are you putting this quarterback at risk to pull another Carson Wentz on us? I mean, granted, Jalen had 15 touchdowns on the ground, but if he's hurt, why are we putting him in these situations? These fucking brotherly shove where everybody's literally tugging for his face mask, pulling him. All this. Why are we putting him in that situation? I don't know, but I'm going to do the same thing I did with the Colts, and I'm going to grade the just running back, the running game as a whole. We had 2,190 yards. He averaged almost $130 on the ground. Running game wise, when I see that number, I gotta give you an A. Just, I mean, granted it's Jalen from the one. He stole a lot of Swift's touchdowns. I gotta give him an A when I see numbers like that, $130 on the ground. You would have thought we had a way better record than we did.
The running game. The beginning of the season, you guys were running the ball so much. I'm like, okay, we're gonna run the ball and we're gonna do a play action, boom, boom, easy season. For some reason, towards the middle and the end of the season, you guys went away from running the ball and put it more in Jalen Hurts' hand, which is like, why? DeAndre Swift showcased at the beginning of the season. I believe he had a 200+ yard game in the beginning of the season, of a couple hundred back to backs. I'm like, yo, keep feeding this man the ball. Why take away from him? Once again, pay calling. I'm not a fan of that. And Jalen Hurts, like, second leader rushing, 605 yards. Holy shit. But putting him in the field, like, the brotherly shoves probably took a toll on his knees, man, because, you know, you got so many people on top of you. Granted, yeah, he could bench 600 pounds. I mean, he could squat 600 pounds. Okay, cool. But when you got 55 guys on top of your back, man, it's going to take a toll on your knees. So I'm not really a fan of that as well, too. Granted, do a here and there. This year, you guys milked the brotherly shove a little too much, in my opinion. A little too much. But it is what it is. But that DeAndre Swift, I don't know why you guys took the ball away from him towards the end of the season. Was not a fan of that. For that case, I'm gonna give the running backs, the running game, a B.
All right, so let's go to the wide receivers. We only have 2. Let's make that abundantly clear. We have 2. And when you talk about those, they both had 7 touchdowns, right? They one had 106 yards, 106 yards. Wow, 106 receptions. And my boy AJ Brown, baby T.O., 1,456 yards. This man averaged 13.7 yards per catch. He had 21 big plays. He averaged 85.6 yards per game with 473 yards of yak. 70 first downs. Let's not forget the 70 first downs. That's a crazy thing for your number one because he was being doubled a lot. AJ Brown, if you graded him, that's an A. You can A plus easy. And then we go to Devontae Smith, who is probably He's a number one. Let's be honest. He's a number one. They put him anywhere in the league. He is a number one.
Yes.
And having another player who's obviously getting the ball more than him. 81 catches, 1,066 yards. He averaged 13.2 yards per catch, 66 a game, 14 big plays. The yak I don't like. He only had 294 yards in yak. I want to see that go up for Devontae, but he had 47 first downs. And let's go back. A lot of that's because we're throwing him screens, or we have him blocking on screens. Whatever, man. Anyway, between them two, you had 14 touchdowns. It's not too shabby, but you had 2,500 yards between two receivers. That is literally more than half of Jalen's numbers. The next next receivers number is 164 receiving yards on the year, 142 receiving yards on the year, 74 receiving yards, 42. I've never seen a team that such a tremendous drop like that in the receiving room. You clearly need a third receiver here. It's complete opposite of the Colts. The Colts just couldn't get their third receiver the ball. We don't have one. We just don't have one. So my two top receivers, I'm giving an A each, but as a whole, you have to give them a B. There's no way around it. You had three dudes that's out there not doing nothing, and then two dudes doing everything. You could even say B. I'll give them B minus actually, because it's terrible drop off. I don't like it. Even though, granted, we had 4,000 yards total in the air, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of what I've seen. 24 touchdowns. You would normally think, oh, that's a good year. No. It is B minus easy. Four receivers didn't do nothing all year. I could have been out there and done more than them. So
For me, I thought this was a down year for AJ Brown, and he had 1,400 yards. That's crazy to say. One thing about the Eagles, whatever disconnection there is between the front office and AJ Brown or whatever's going on, you got to fix that. You don't want to go through what you win again with T.O. Fix his relationship, because he is key in his offense. You got to fix that. I'm saying it right now. This right here, it's fixable. All right? I'm saying it's not. But the whole thing is, when you're doing so good and you're losing games, tension rises because everybody wants to be great. So I feel like that's maybe we got to, the relationship has to get fixed. Smith, he showcased he is fucking a beast in that playoff game against the Bucks. He held it down by himself, even though the score was horrendous. But he put that team on his back and was driving you guys down the field so many times. So he showcased that I am a number one, and he's getting paid. He's getting paid really soon. And like I said before, that combination with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith is perfect. And do not destroy it. I'm going to say it right now, because losing A.J. we'll talk about that later on, it's a possibility of losing A.J. Brown. That's going to be the big detrimental to you guys. Dallas Goedert, when he went down, the offense changed a lot. He is that security blanket for Jalen Hurts, and he can never really got into rhythm since that injury, in my opinion. You guys need a good third receiver, because after that is Swift. He should not be your fourth leading receiver in the team. No way, no how. But overall, like I said before, for A.J. Brown, this was a down year, and he had 1,400 yards. That's saying a lot about him and the potential he has to get. He could easily have 1,700 yards if Jalen Hurts was not hurt. Easily. Devontae Smith, the reason why he only has 1,000 yards, like I said before, is a stupid fucking screens, man. You lose so many yards every time. I'm not a fan of the screens. A few times in the game, yeah, okay. But you're doing it consistently so many times in the game, you're going to lose yards. He could easily have 1,300 yards. But overall, I'm going to give the receiving group a B. But it could have been the A with so much potential. And that's crazy to say. A down year for Smith and A.J. Brown, and we still have 1,000 plus, says a lot about you guys.
Let's talk tight ends real quick. Besides Dallas Goedert, we don't have one. Grant and Stahl, 39 yards and 38. So if you go back to when we won the Super Bowl, it was double tight ends. You had Zach Ertz, you had Dallas Goedert as a young man. In this league, you need as many weapons as possible. Yes, Dallas Goedert, 592 yards on 59 catches, 3 touchdowns. But like you said, he was not able to get in rhythm. He was hurt. He took a stretch where he missed like 5 games. Or was it? No, this said 13. he was out a few weeks though, almost a month. So he got in one game, got hurt right away, didn't play, boom. But he got hurt before and was taken out of a few games. He was never able to get in rhythm. And with Jalen being hurt, you've seen it at times where the players were just frustrated. Like they know, I don't think they know. I'm going to be honest with you. I think this is Jalen being hurt is just between Jalen and the organization, because there's times that you could see AJ Brown mad, Devontae Smith mad, Dallas Goedert in a playoff game pissed. But again, when you only have one tight end, you got to give him I give him a C minus, because Goddard alone, okay, good numbers. But when you're talking about as a unit, similar to the Colts on the offense, this was probably our weakness right here is our tight ends. And a league where some tight ends are dominant, that's what you need. I'll give them a C minus, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that thing you said, because it's a giant dip off after Goddard. It's like, whoa. But injury day played a factor, so I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna give it a C for your tight end room.
All right, I have mixed emotions about my offensive line this year. Again, it's only 39 sacks. It's not bad. Jalen only got 36 times. So with that being said, I'm gonna do similar to the Colts. I'm gonna just go by off the numbers. 239 yards a game passing and 128 on the ground. You got to give them an A. It could have easily been an A plus if we didn't run so many fucking screens. That's made us look terrible. Also, we had a lot of flags, but a lot of them were bullshit. Offsides on the offense because Jason Kelce had both hands in the same position. A lot of full start penalties. Again, mental mistakes, preventing it from being an A plus. But when you look at the numbers, it's like, damn. Again, if we didn't collapse and we win 2 or 3 more games, you're not worried about anything that happened. It was just a big collapse. This offensive line played great compared to the stupid ass play calling. When we were running the ball down people's throats, you seen like, oh man, this offensive line is unstoppable. No, let's just call 13 screens a game. So A for them. That's the best I could do, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you with the A. It just sucks because you're losing the greatest center of Eagles history, Jason Kelce. Lane Johnson's age is getting up there. Like your offensive line is getting really, really old, and I think you guys probably passed your peak with this offensive line. I think next year and then moving forward, you're gonna have to start looking for replacements because, as of right now, like it's time. It's time, but it showcased this year because, like I said before, questionable play callings. I believe these guys were getting burnt out with that brotherly shot. Cause when they got up, man, you saw their face. They looked fucking red. I'm like, holy shit. Like I said before, it's a great effective play, but when you do it so much, causing for a lot of risk. And like I said before, Jalen Hurts, his face mask is getting pulled back to his fucking back. He's got hundreds of guys on top of him. Like I said before, it's a very effective play. I'm not saying it's not, but it's gonna take a toll on these guys' bodies. Like I said before, you see it in the Bucs game. It got stopped on the goal line. But overall, your offense side did play good. But like I said, I think you guys are passing your peak with this group right now. We're losing a legend in Kelce. Next year, it's going to look very different. So, yeah.
All right, let's go over to the defense.
I got 1 grade.
Yeah. I'll give the grade later, but I'm just going to run through some stats, right? And I want to give kudos to Reed Blankenship. He had 113 tackles. That's a safety. And he missed time. He missed 2 games, and he caught a couple stingers. He had 3 interceptions as well. You know how they say milk check when there's a white player on the field? Not ours. That boy can ball. He can ball. I want to give a shout out to our number 9 overall pick, Jalen Carter. That is a grown man out there. He has 6 sacks, and mind you, this is a defensive line that rotates. He had 6 sacks and 8 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles. Now, as a team, we only had 43 sacks. Last year, we had, 70?
It was amazing last year.
Big drop-off. Another thing, our defense of play calls were trash. Our defenders were trash. We only had 9 interceptions.
That's horrible.
I don't even want to harp on it, but we had 19 forced fumbles. Make it make sense. So it's not that we can't get turnovers. It's just that For whatever reason, it looked like this team didn't believe in the defensive coordinators, didn't believe in the defensive scheme. Our linebackers, garbage, basura. I don't care how many tackles they had. You look at these game tapes, I could show you each time they missed at least 5 tackles each. Howie, I'll go back to this time again. When we drafted Devontae Smith, I never argued that it wasn't the right move. My question was always the same, Kevin. And you know this, I said, should we have drafted Michael Parsons? That was my question. Just because linebackers, they're a dime a dozen, man. And now you see Parsons, he is on another level. I'm not saying Smith isn't, but when you see these linebackers, I don't understand why we're not addressing it. Our safeties and corners are getting more tackles than these guys. And then our corners are super trash. Slay he didn't play good. Bradbury, can we please cut him? Trash. This defense I'm giving a D- because nothing they did was good. When we had this collapse, it was all because of them. They only 28 turnovers as a team, only 43 sacks. With this team, you would have easily expected close to 60 plus sacks, 40 plus turnovers. Lack of tackling, lack of coaching, lack of blitzing. I mean, we already fired both defensive coordinators that call plays, Matt Patricia and Sean Desai. We fired our offensive coordinator already, so it speaks volumes. It's tough. I could easily just look at what we allowed in these last few games, and it tells the story. San Francisco, we allowed 42 points. Dallas, 33. Seattle, we let Seattle beat us. Seattle beat us because they went at James Bradbury the whole last drive. You had two rookie corners, and they didn't throw at them once. Speaks volumes. Even when we beat the Giants, they scored 25 points. Then we allowed 35 to the Cardinals and 27 to the Giants. You can't win allowing this many points. And that was a theme throughout the year. We only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games that we only allowed less than 20 points. This defense is a D-, very close to an F. Actually, I'm going to give them an F because they suck so bad. That collapse I've never seen a collapse like that, so F. Trash.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm giving them the F+. The reason why, you guys jumped the gun with the 49ers game with, putting Matt Patricia out there. It happens. All Super Bowl winning teams lost. They got their asses whooped before. They don't jump the gun. You guys jumped the gun a little too early with that game, and it really showcased. Granted, yeah, players have some good stats, but I don't care about that. You guys did not do the most fundamental things, was tackle. Bradbury was getting fucking cooked. It reminded me of that cornerback you guys signed a few back. Was it Matt Maxwell? I can't remember his name, but he was getting his fucking ass burned every goddamn play. James Bradbury, you gotta let him go. He was a detriment to your team, especially in that Bucks game. It was disgusting. That Seattle game, even more disgusting. At one point, why you didn't bench him? No defensive adjustments, no accountability. From top to bottom, I don't care. Hassan Reddick had 11 sacks. Okay, Jordan Davis had 2.5 sacks. Jalen Carter had 6 sacks. No, you guys did not do the fundamentals when it comes to tackling. And that Bucks game was disgusting when it came to tackling. It was a disgrace. Ray Lewis was watching the game. He was like, what are they not doing the most fundamental tackles? I'm not a fan of jumping tackling to the knees. Grip. If you're going to get stiff arm, fuck it. But, grab them. That's it. I'm not talking about nobody else's defense because I'm not going to say nothing good about them. No, it's an F.
Super F. Super trash. Super trash. Oh, good old Nick Sirianni. The players are saying he didn't lose the locker room. Reports are saying that he hindered Brian Johnson's play calling, so I'm not too sure. But after a collapse like that, you clean house. All right, so you keep Nick. Okay, cool, I understand. You want to give him a chance. If we don't start this season, and I'm talking about offensively and defensively dominated, let him go. I don't care. Let him go. Because it's just going to show. After we beat Kansas City and he was all cocky with it, he was cocky with it, talking all that. And guess what happened? We got punched in the mouth ever since. Sometimes I don't want my coach to be cocky. I want you to be Andy Reid. Calm, cool, collected. Even in negative weather with your beard frozen, your mustache frozen. Stay the same. I like Nick as a coach, and I think we can overcome this if he hires the right pieces. But with that collapse, you have to give him as a coach, give him a C minus. He didn't make D easy. He didn't make any adjustments, and when he did make an adjustment, he jumped the gun, which actually hurt the team more. And also for you not to sit there and say, "Yo, James Bradbury is the worst player on the defense right now. He cost us several games." I have to hold you accountable. The offense is the only reason you're getting a D. Because if not, you're getting an F. The offense was just good, even though they were trash. It's a D. Nick has to get his head out of his ass. And, it's my offensive scheme. It sucks if you're going to throw that many screens. And if we throw, I swear to you right now, if we throw a screen in the first drive of next year, I will be talking highlights, but will not be watching games. So I'm just letting you know right now. I don't want to see no screen off rip. I'm telling you, I might break a TV.
Overall, Nick Sirianni, he was on his high horse. One thing about the NFL, it will humble you. And him talking crazy after beating Kansas City in the tunnel, I wasn't a fan of that. I'm going to be honest with you. Be humble about it because the NFL will humble you. What you did this year, you had one of the worst collapses of all time. Not the worst, but one of the worst of all time. Now you clean house. Now you got to make sure that you're beating these coordinators that are going to be great fits. And unfortunately, next year he's going to be in the hot seat already. But we're not talking about next year. We're talking about this year. No accountability. Like I said before, James Bradbury. You see him out there getting cooked, my man, you're done. Put a rookie out there. I don't care. Somebody else, go out there and try. You can't be any worse than he really is right now. The play calling, the screens. Oh my God, there's so many goddamn screens. Not a lot of accountability held throughout the team. I'm being honest with you, from outside looking in. Nick Sirianni, I think he's a good coach. 3 straight years in the playoffs. Second year against the Super Bowl. Like great accolades, but he was on his high horse a little bit too much, and losing both your coordinators, I think, played a big detriment to your team. Granted, however you feel about Jonathan Gannon, the defense was that front seven was disgustingly good last year. So losing both your coordinators, and I think Shane was kind of a little bit exposed with these two guys being out there. I didn't see him really being involved. Outside looking in, like, was he not involved in the offense and defense? Like, come on, man, like jumping the gun with Matt Patricia. Maybe that was his call. I'm not a fan of that. That was a bad call right there. Rock it out with your defense coordinator. Don't bench after 10 games. Granted, like I said before, every Super Bowl winning team or dynasty team get their asses whooped once in a while. They get punched in the mouth. You got punched in the mouth as, oh my man, yo, you're done. You're done. No, you should rock out with him. He was 10-1. He was 10-1 at the time.
But you got punched in the mouth 30 times because of James Bradbury and didn't hold him accountable. You hold the coach accountable, but not the dude that's on the field. It was crazy.
Yeah. All right, so what's your overall comments of the Eagles season?
Trash. I'll be honest with you. After seeing how they played down the stretch, it has to be, off of my memory, one of the worst seasons I've ever seen. I'm talking about, this is up there with Chip Kelly era football. And I'll just be 100% honest with you. You are an Eagles fan, and you can't tell me when we had a more disappointing season. Even though Chip Kelly let go so many players, we were still winning games. This easily in the past 20 years, I could say this is probably the worst season they had. Because the high expectations and going 10-1 to be like,
yeah,
nah.
Literally. All right, guys. So this is our episode of grading the Colts and Eagles season. A lot of ups and downs between both our teams. Definitely a great episode. Definitely have a great comeback between us coming back together again. We have so much content coming on. We will do Colts only content. We will do Eagles only content. We will do free agency content together. We have so much content coming together. We're not right now being a little slow season. Other teams having fun in the championship game this weekend. Not us. But we got so much content coming together. We're gonna do so much things together. Like we didn't do in the past. We got so much that we want to do. Thank you guys for coming back. And, as always, thank you guys so much. And this is Cultural Sports.